Okay, so this month's game was chosen by me. I did Shinobi 3, and I did it because it's a game that I've loved in the past, but just never really played all that much of. And I kind of figured, like, we've done a couple of Nintendo games for the Cartridge Club, so we might as well go a little bit more into the Sega side of things. And we're better to start than the Genesis, but also not necessarily one of your tentpole games like Sonic the Hedgehog or Streets of Rage. It's not quite in the underground level, but probably like what I would consider tier 2, and more of a very well loved, very appreciated game, but one that just never quite reached a mainstream level success. So for those of you that are unaware, Shinobi 3 is an action platformer where you play as a businessman who hands out his business. No, you're a shinobi. And sorry,
wait, did I play the right game?
So it's an action platformer, late release. I believe Sam and I played it on the 3DS, and the other guys played it on the Nintendo Switch. Personally, this might be a sin to say as a Sega guy. I know that people love the Genesis port of the game, but I'm like, something about the 3DS one, the fact that you are playing on a screen where you have the option for 3D just added so much to it. Because the thing about that is, like, the 3D thing on the 3DS was cool from time to time, but with these pixel art graphics, it is actually incredible to look at. Like, you get all the layers of parallax scrolling where every single layer that you have, boom, 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 like you have 5 or 6, each one has a different amount of depth to it. And if you have like a transformation thing going on where you have like silhouettes behind you, each one has a different amount of 3D layering to it. And I think that graphically that just added to what was already a very impressive looking Sega Genesis game. And my experience with this has always been positive. There are little problems here or there with difficulty and controls, not necessarily controls, but realizing how the controls work. Once you do actually get them in there, I actually do think I got very used to it. Like double tap to run, double jumping, a lot of this sort of stuff kind of comes off intuitive once you do actually get a hang of it. Isaac's kind of got this face like, but the game to me has always been very fun. And one thing that people don't really talk about when it comes to this game is the music. Oh my God. The music is so good, especially stage, what was it, 3 or 4? The one where you're on the surfboard. It's one of the best Genesis tracks of all time. You're just a ninja that's surfing in like this ocean that's full of like waste, and then these cybernetic like creatures, like robots or drones just start coming at you, and I'm like, oh, this is just a really cool aesthetic right here. I love this. And all the boss fights were really fun. Like, you know what you're going to do right away just based off how the patterns go. And it's just so fun to play for me. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling on a bit, but it's one of those games where it's kind of hard to quantify why I like it so much, because everything I'm going to say almost feels bog standard, but that, I mean, in the best way possible. Now, I'm going to pass it over to Isaac, who I could tell has some mixed opinions just based off his reactions. So, all right, go to it.
I'll start off with this, just to go off of like what Leo was saying in terms of the name itself, Shinobi. You automatically do feel like you are playing as a ninja in terms of the moveset, everything. When you do dash, the animation on the ninja itself is perfect. He looks like a ninja who is running. It's what you would envision when you think of a ninja who is running. Same thing when it comes to the moveset. You have a spectacular jump animation. You can wall jump. There are ninjutsu skills, which are basically, in this situations, magic for ninjas that they could use. You can throw kunais, and it really does encapsulate the ideology of playing as a ninja and being a ninja, especially for this generation of gaming, when you still had, we're on the cups of it being after the Super Nintendo being out for a little bit, Genesis being out for a little bit. Now you have this game here where it really does capture a very good action platforming setting. And Leo said that there is a very good wide variety of level stages. A big fan of just in general, like the whole cyberpunk theme that seemed to be throughout the whole thing. You go into it thinking that it's just going to be a traditional ninja game where it's going to be set in some sort of Japan
Like
area,
a feudal era or something like that.
right?
Mhm.
But instead, what you get mechanical levels, you get surfing levels, like you had mentioned. You
That
get
one boss, I know
Yeah.
you know which one.
Yeah. You get a whole fight against Mechagodzilla, and it doesn't ever feel out of place either. Everything feels like it's supposed to be there. Every level feels like it's not going out of reach. Like you don't feel like you're in a level that feels like, why did they put this in the game? You're just happy that it's in the game. Sound design is awesome. Every sounding score, it just feels like it was perfectly accompanying to whatever you're playing at the time. And I will say it was a very enjoyable experience going through it. A very challenging game too, and I know that the guys will probably get into that a little more. Challenging to a certain respect, where there was times where I was like, dang, this is hard, and it almost made me question, to the point where I was like, am I about to wrap on this game and ding it because of the difficulty? But then it made me ponder to another series that I love a lot, like in Castlevania, where there's a lot of situations where you feel like the controls maybe are your fault sometimes when you do mess up, and maybe situations where you find yourself dying or having to restart are your fault.
That's called gaslighting.
So in that, what I mean is you overemphasize how much you put into a control.
Mhm.
So if you overcompensate or undercompensate on a certain movement, you're going to die in this game and you're going to lose. That being said, I can't excuse it for everything. It's not perfect to a T. I know Leo was talking about the intuitiveness of the controls, and I can agree to an extent. However, there was a lot of times, granted, I gave the game one playthrough all the way through, and at the end of the game, I still don't know how I made it all the way through that level. I can't tell you how many times I expected to double jump and the ninja did not jump again. I can't tell you how many times I expected the wall jump to be able to let me cling back to the wall and it didn't. I can't tell you how many times the jump. I have a big complaint about the jump.
Okay,
So when you run, you feel and look like you're going fast. You're not going fast at all. You're moving pixel by pixel. When you jump, you feel like you're going to do a far leap. And I don't know, I've just been spoiled by Mario games where you just jump and you go like all the way across the platform. You just go high. You don't go far, you go high. And you can go high again. And the last level is just seriously like a big middle finger to you, because there's just electricity all over the place. And you have to wall jump around electricity in every parameter. And guess what? Your best move in the kunai that you throw, you don't bring enough of those to the last boss fight, you're losing. You cannot respawn at the last boss and beat them. The regular melee attack does not cut it. The regular melee attack will screw you in the end if you do not just spend hour of gameplay farming material before going into him. And to me, I got to give that like almost like a cardinal sin, because I know I compared it to Castlevania in the sense where there is a lot of gameplay in Castlevania that's just really hard, but you know when you died because the controls are so stiff that they become monotonous. You just kind of like are already aware of like how unforgiving the controls are. This one kind of lures you into a false sense of hope because you're playing as this ninja that looks like he's going super fast and jumping all over the place, but you're not. You're jumping really high instead of far. You think the double jump is going to kick in. Sometimes it doesn't. You think the wall jump is going to kick in. Sometimes it doesn't. And if you don't have enough kunai, which is your throw weapon, which should just be the standard weapon, in my opinion, you're going to die. I know we rate the game, but I'll hold off on my rating for now. I did like the game. I know I ended in the part where I talk about the fails, I guess I should say, but it was still but it was still a very enjoyable experience, and I'm glad we got to pick it up because otherwise I would have never played this. And it was an awesome game, awesome graphics. I gotta say, it's one of the Genesis's highlights. If you wanted to look at why a Genesis game looks awesome, this is one of those games.
And before you pass it off, I want to say to your credit about the whole control thing. When I said mostly good, that whole double jump thing was what I was referring to, because the wall jump wasn't too difficult for me. I got the hang of it, but the double jump, you have to like reach an arc. So it's like you go all the way up. Then once you go down a little bit, that's when you could activate the double jump. It's not automatic. It's not guaranteed. And I do think that they should have made it a surefire thing, because that is, I would agree, the biggest detriment as far as the controls are concerned.
Yeah, because when it comes to playing as a ninja, you think it's like you're gonna have this like superfluous amount of just fast, quick, well executed movements,
And there were 95% there.
Yeah, and I just still think that this is obviously a game of its time when difficulty was definitely a part in replayability, and it was still very fun. I just feel like there's definitely room for the controls to feel tighter, more executed. That being said, I still had a great time with the game. Sound design is awesome. The graphics are awesome. The sprites are awesome. One of my favorite boss fights I've probably played on a Genesis game.
I saw you instantly text the group chat.
I immediately went in the group chat and I was like, Mecha Godzilla.
And I was like, all right, he reached that stage.
Yeah,
exactly the same, bro.
No, definitely. But that's my immediate first thoughts. I'm going to pass it on to Nick because he's immediately to the right of my screen and is also a notorious Sega guy as well. So, Nick, what's your thoughts?
So overall, I'm going to agree with you guys. I like the game quite a bit. I had played this game briefly on the Genesis. I never really got super deep into it. I think it's a great action platformer. I briefly played the first Shinobi, I think, and I could definitely see how they expanded upon the formula. I'm going to agree with you guys. The presentation is phenomenal. I think the graphics are beautiful. The parallax scrolling, as Leo said, is great. I really like the Genesis aesthetic. I'm also a big fan of the Super Nintendo, but the Genesis aesthetic is very distinct, and I think that this is a prime example of it. Overall, my biggest gripe with it is the controls, as you guys mentioned already. I found myself really struggling with the double jump. I don't know why. I was questioning
You guys are bad, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably. But somebody clarify for me, is it just because what I picked up on is you jump, but then you have to jump in a direction or something? I don't know.
You jump at the apex. At the apex, if you jump at the very top of your jump, that's what I would do.
Very slightly after the apex. Oh, is it?
I had to look it up, and you can only double jump if you input the second jump at the apex of your first jump.
See, we got to be looking up how to double jump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Looked it up. But at first, I will say, anyway.
That's why I said that a guaranteed double jump would have helped this game, but I digress.
I was I forgot which level it was. I was on, I think it was level 4, the one where it's you're in that factory with the little brain alien things, and there's those conveyor belts. And for maybe only 5 minutes, I was stuck because I couldn't figure out how to get higher, and it's because I wasn't actively doing the double jump as much. But obviously, eventually I got it, and it helped quite a bit. Another thing is just to be clear, I played this on the Switch. So maybe people's control differences are going to differ from mine. And I also played with Joy-Cons, so that's probably not the best way to play. I didn't really play with the D-pad, which is probably not the best thing when you're playing a 2D platformer.
That would hinder you quite a lot.
Yeah. Because of that, the whole double click forward or double click back to run. I just wish, obviously, this game was made in the early to mid 90s. I just wish there was a run button. I think that would make it simplified. Obviously, this game was a product of its time. I think it's a really good game. I have to agree with Isaac a little bit, and this is probably partly because of my experience. Not to say if anybody has any, people are probably going to have different experiences, but I thought it was a hard game. Honestly, I found myself using save states sometimes just to save time. But it is one of those games, as you guys mentioned, where I haven't really dived deep into Castlevania, but I played a little bit of the Mega Man games, and obviously these are different different games. But with Mega Man, specifically the older ones, they're very difficult.
That's a good, actually good comparison, especially with like most of the time you're using a projectile.
And the thing about it is, like, with those kind of games, they're hard, but once you get over that hump, it's like very rewarding, you know. And once you figure out how the game, like how you to go about the game itself, it's rewarding, you know. Some of the bosses gave me kind of a hard time, and I think it was partly because of the controls. One of the harder bosses, I don't know about you guys, but one that I was stuck on for quite a while was the guy with the hand that comes out of the ground. The like for some reason
the that guy,
Yeah.
he was like you would hit him
like
and it's
a
like
rotting head or something.
yeah. For some reason, that one gave me a little bit of trouble for a little bit, and I think it was partly due to the controls because, you know, like the timing of when to attack him wasn't hard to understand or anything like that. But like, I would like jump preemptively, and then the hand would come like on its way back to hit me. You know, I would say overall this game I really enjoyed it. I think if I played it back when I was younger, I would have enjoyed it a lot because of action platformers are games that I really like. I looked up other action platformers just to try to compare, and it stands, in my opinion, above many of the other action platformers. Like I know there's Earthworm Jim and like Aladdin. I'm not going to count the Sonic games because I think those are just like a different thing. But like I kind of
Easily better than both of those that you just mentioned, though.
Yeah, I think those. If we ever talk about those, I think those games are solid too. But I think this is a better game than those. Although I did have a little bit of difficulty with it, but yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I definitely recommend it. So with that said, I'll send it over to Sam.
Yeah, I think it's a great game. I'm just gonna flat out start with my score. I'm gonna straight up give it a B. My reasoning was I felt it was better than Kirby and not as good as Sin and Punishment, and it wasn't worthy of being in the A tier. I will just keep on adding to whatever y'all were saying. Where the controls, well, okay, let me put it this way: I didn't have any issues with the controls at all, except for the first half of the game. I didn't know you could double jump at all. And then I looked it up, and then I was like, "Oh, bro, you could double jump."
I had to look. Like I forgot you could even run in this game for like the first level or two.
Yeah, because you're using analog stick, right?
Yeah, that's the big reason why. Yeah.
I along with Leo played it on the 3DS, which was beautiful, and the music is fire.
All these Sega 3DS ports look amazing on the 3DS. It made me wish that they did more of them.
Yeah, I know. There's like a Sega Genesis Classic cartridge or something like that on the 3DS, and there's like 4 games on them. I think there's like a volume 2 also. I don't know what games are on there exactly, but I know there's 2 of them. There's like 8 total games they ported.
Okay,
I think so.
So this one comes with 9 games. This is the one that was released in the US right here. If it'll focus.
I think the other one was released in Japan, right, Leo?
Sega 3D Classics Collection. This one comes with, this one was released in the US and the other 2 came out also in Japan. Those are very expensive though. We're talking probably like $400 plus dollars each. This one comes with Power Drift, Puyo Puyo 2, Sonic the Hedgehog, Nick, Fantasy Zone 2, Altered Beast.
Hold on,
Galaxy
did you say
Force 2.
$400
Each?
Bro, that's more than Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
That's great.
those were Japanese exclusives, and I wanted to get them in the past, but when I realized they were that much, I was like, normally I'm a physical copy sort of guy, but I'll go digital on this one. Maybe if I ever see them for like 100, okay, I could bite that bullet, but no.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyways, yeah, these all look beautiful, and I wouldn't say they all play great. It depends on how much you like each individual game, but Streets of Rage 2 is one of the ones that got a 3D port. This one is, and these are 2 of my all-time favorite Sega Genesis games. I wish they did Streets of Rage 3 because I'll die on the hill that Streets of Rage 3 is better than 2.
Never played any of them. But fun fact, I will say, this is my first Genesis game I've ever played, ever.
Oh, really?
Like, I guess B. Like, I've tried Sonic.
Yeah.
Actually, not on a Genesis, though. But this is the first time I ever played, like, a Genesis game proper. I will say also, I want to mention that Lee also talked about this, and I want to point out the music in this game is fire. I found myself listening to the OST at work. I'm like, yo, this is There's some Bob, dude.
Banger.
Hey,
Yeah, there's a bunch of bangers.
Honestly, that's what gets people more into the Genesis than the games themselves. Because not to say that the Super Nintendo's a slouch for the soundtrack department by any means, because it's all based on who's developing, who's composing, all that sort of stuff. But I think that the Super Nintendo was better at more symphonic sort of things. Whereas if you want something more hard rock and more bopping, more beat driven, you went to the Genesis. Obviously, there are exceptions in both cases, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, it was a fire soundtrack. And I was gonna say one thing. Oh yeah, I save scummed the heck out of this game. It was really hard, bro. There's times I tried to beat it without save scumming, but then I was like, bro, I'm not gonna be able to beat it in time for the podcast if I don't save scum. So
That level with all the electricity, bro. Forget that level. Forget that level, bro.
I did a bit of a perfectionist save scum. So what I would do is if I got to a segment, I would beat it and I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to try to do it over again as perfect as possible because I don't know.
I saved scummed it so bad that like as soon as I would go to a next screen, save. And then next screen again, save. Bro, it was so bad because there's this one segment. The hardest segment for me was, I don't even know what stage it was. There's like water tower things, and like you could hang on pipes.
Oh,
and there's like the back creatures.
Stage
There's like
4,
back
part 2.
creatures. Yeah, back creatures that look like gargoyles or something.
Yeah.
You're just climbing on the things, and then they just fly and hit you, and you cannot attack them while you're like. It's so bad. Like it's just like it's hard for no reason. It's not even hard. Like you can't. I mean, I am of the proponent of like you got to get good, like melee, get good, bro. But like that, I was like, this is cheating. I cannot do anything to like.
I actually
avoid
agree
them.
with you on that one. I
was
forgot
so
about that segment,
bro. That was right. That was the moment I started save scumming. After that, it was like every screen I was save scumming. After I got like to the edge of a pipe, I would save scum. It was so bad, bro. It got me frustrated.
Yeah. Every time you pick up ammo, me too.
It was
Dude,
annoying,
the game
bro.
wanted you to kill them gargoyles before you climbed anything.
It almost wanted to make you kill them mid jump is what I noticed, and yeah, that was the hardest part as far as platforming goes up until the final stage that I experienced.
And then they hit you, and then you go into your iframes and you fall off, and then you're lucky if you land on one of those like water platform things. But if you landed on the water and you didn't jump, like you're dead. You had full health and you're just dead. And I was like, oh my goodness, bro, this game, I'm gonna put this game in the F tier, bro. That's what I was thinking at that moment, I swear, bro. But other than that, I think it's a fun game. I do think I ran the first half of the game, I was just sprinting and like holding the button where I jumped, and I would be like, and everything. I'm like, oh, this game's good, dude. I'm just running through it. It's easy. But yeah, I had a rude awakening whenever the gargoyles came through and screwed everything up. But
all right.
Yeah, I think with that, I'm going to give it a B, and it's my final answer, ranking it in my specific thing, and I'll pass it on to whoever's next, or if you guys want to give it your guys' grades. Yeah, but I don't think you guys graded it.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't yet. Up to Leo on who wants to grade.
All right, I'll go last. Nick, go next. We'll go backwards order. So Nick, then Isaac, then me.
So, as I mentioned, I like this game overall. I'm going to give it a B minus. As Sam said, comparing it, I'm trying to compare it to the other games we've played. If it was like in a vacuum, then like I would probably rate it a little bit higher. But since we comparing it to Sin and Punishment and Kirby, I definitely think it's a better game than Kirby overall. I love Kirby games. But then Sin and Punishment was, I think, a better game than this. So I'm going to give it a B minus.
So
all right, now
for
we'll go to
me,
Isaac.
I can't put it anything higher than B. Mostly because like some of the contradictions that I said about it being punishing in a way where you're like, I know where I messed up, but also contradicting in the sense that I said it was also unfair in some of the controls. I still stand by some of the controls were unfair. And I don't have it above something like Castlevania, where Castlevania, it's unfair, but you died because you messed up. I feel like this game was messed up to you, and that's why you died sometimes. But it was still a great game. Like, the levels were awesome, the designs were awesome, the platforming is awesome, the move pool is awesome. But, if it had unlimited knives that you could throw, I might put in an A, because otherwise you have to like spam saving up knives before the last boss, or you just can't beat it. You're not beating it with the melee attack. And yeah, fix the double jump, give you unlimited knives. It might be an A. Other than that, it's a B.
All right. So for me personally, when I was going into this game, I was expecting it to be the first S I gave, and it didn't quite reach that. It is my favorite game that I've played so far. I'm gonna ultimately go with an A grade on this one. But like Isaac said, those little frustrations that he brought up specifically about the double jump, about the kunai saving, all that sort of stuff, and the platformer things that Sam brought up is with that stage 4 part 2 level, like little things like that are what brought it down from S to A to me. And yeah, I'm gonna go with A on this one. And I think for an overall settling on this one, because I said A, Sam said B, Nick said B minus, Isaac said B. I think we're probably going to settle in the B range on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dog, I'm not going to lie. When you said you thought it was going to be your S.
Well, it's hard because we artificially make it to that like 3-hour games, you know? So games that like we typically think are S tier games are like all over 3 hours at least. So then
yeah, they take longer. They take longer for sure. That's kind of hard to pick a. Yeah, we just kind of lifted the curtain up a bit. Sam just pointed out we try to stick to short games, guys, but we got things going on. So
yeah, and then we do also like to invite all you viewers, listeners, for playing these games alongside with us. And if you haven't played Shinobi 3, give it a play. It's a fun game. And then I think also the next game that we're going to choose, I think it's Nick. I'll let him do that. But I do want to say, if you guys want to play alongside with us and play the next game that we play, and then listen to the next podcast or video where we talk about this. And
tell us it's a skill issue that we're bad at Shinobi, and that's why we gave it a B.
Tell us we suck and we just got to get good. We're so used to modern games, bro. Why didn't they patch the jump, bro? Come on, guys.
They won't patch, dude. Come on.
Oh, what? Oh, what the? Who's that, bro?
Did you guys want me to tell the next Cartridge Club game, or should we get into that later?
Yeah,
okay,
let's discuss that right now.
This one's going to be a hot one, guys.
Oh, boy.
So the next Cartridge Club game that I've decided to pick is Sonic R. This is going to be interesting because I'll give you guys a little bit of a peek into my thought process. I played this game a lot as a kid, so I'm gonna try to be very objective with this. You know, obviously, I know we'll get into it, but it's gonna be interesting because I played this game a lot as a kid, and I don't think these guys have played it, and I know it's kind of notoriously frowned upon or talked about negatively online. So it'll be interesting to see. So excited to see you guys play it, and excited to see what you guys think about it. So with that being said, do we want to get into our next segment?
I'm just laughing so hard because Leo has this really cool voice effect going on, and you just hear bad.
Is that what it said? I couldn't even tell what it said.
I just said bad, but like I could.
Bad.
Oh, what the? We got effects out here, bro. We're leveling up our production quality. Part of the what?
Part of the soundboard thing or a mixer thing that I got. It comes with these voice modulation effects, so I could do the whole. Next game is Sonic R.
Hey, say the intro to classic game room.
Yeah. And with that was our segment.
From Earth, classic game room broadcast from the intergalactic space arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything.